So this study I loved. It was from 1979, and they said up here, they made the point in this paper to say physiologic levels of insulin. Okay, because a lot of times, and they made this point that when we're messing around with insulin, we're given a lot, and it's super physiological levels to see what happens in the body. And they said, all right, well, let's give both in normal people and diabetics continuous physiologic amounts of insulin and watch what happens with glucose. Okay, this was great. I love this one. The effects of continuous infusion, and this is just saying what they did. Insulin in physiologic doses on glucose kinetics and circulating counter-regulatory hormones. Oh, my mouse is freaking out. There you go. We're still good. Counter-regulatory hormones were determined in normal subjects and diabetics. And here's what happened. This is so amazing. Again, you guys, we've been wrong before. So you might see something like this, and you don't have to accept it, but I would encourage you to think about it. Okay, if we've been wrong before, might we be wrong now? Might be we missing something, and might we be able to improve things? Okay, so I encourage people not to just automatically accept things, but automatically not just deny them either. I think that having an active mind and thinking about it is good. Anyhow, with the lower insulin infusion dose, this was on healthy people. Plasma insulin rose. Okay, that would make sense. You're infusing insulin. It went up, but watch what happens. Glucose starts to fall, 0.37 milligrams per minute for 75 minutes, and then stabilize, right? So you're sitting there in a chair. They give you an insulin infusion, physiologic dose. Your glucose starts to go down and then stabilizes at around 67, which kind of makes sense too. That's getting a little low. You're going to get some counter-regulatory hormones because it's too low, right? So that's normal. Now we're ready. The changes in plasma glucose, a decrease, were, what's this word? Entirely a result of a fall in glucose output from the liver and subsequent return to baseline, whereas glucose uptake remained unchanged. What does that say? Am I reading that correctly? I just got new glasses. Okay, you guys, so what it's saying is a constant supply of physiological dose of insulin did lower glucose. That's to be expected. But what they said is it decreased glucose output from the liver, and it didn't make muscle cells take up more. Then in the diabetic group, the initial fall in plasma glucose was almost entirely a result of suppression of glucose output, remained suppressed. In contrast, the late stabilization, they had stabilization too, in plasma glucose was a result of a fall in glucose uptake up to values 50% below basal.